The secret is that only that which can destroy itself is truly alive. In each of us there is another whom we do not know. Neurosis is the suffering of a soul which has not discovered its meaning. The creative mind plays with the object it loves. Nature has no use for the plea that one did not know. One who looks outside dreams. One who looks inside awakens. What we do not make conscious emerges later as fate. The least of things with a meaning is worth more in life than the greatest of things without it. But, if you have nothing at all to create, then perhaps you create yourself. The kernel of all jealousy is lack of love. Man needs difficulties, they are necessary for health. The doctor is effective only when he himself is affected. Only the wounded physician heals. The life that I could still live, I should live, and the thoughts that I could still think, I should think. Every human life contains a potential. If that potential is not fulfilled, that life was wasted. The sure path can only lead to death. Everyone is in love with his own ideas. I am not what happens to me. I choose who I become. Fanaticism is always a sign of repressed doubt. Neurosis is the natural byproduct of pain avoidance. I am a symbol of my soul. Life really does begin at 40. Up until then, you are just doing research. Children are educated by what the grown-up is and not by his talk. I don't aspire to be a good man. I aspire to be a whole man. The fool is the precursor to the savior. People don't have ideas. Ideas have people. The gods have become our diseases. Faith, hope, love, and insight are the highest achievements of human effort. They are found given by experience. We cannot change anything unless we accept it. Condemnation does not liberate, it oppresses. Often the hands will solve a mystery that the intellect has struggled with in vain. Intuition does not denote something contrary to reason, but something outside of the province of reason. Neurosis is always a substitute for legitimate suffering. A creative person has little power over his own life. He is not free. He is captive and driven by his daimon. For better to come, good must stand aside. Creative power is mightier than its possessor. We have forgotten the age-old fact that God speaks chiefly through dreams and visions. Man cannot stand a meaningless life. Had I left those images hidden in the emotions, I might have been torn to pieces by them. Explore daily the will of God. One of the main functions of organized religion is to protect people against a direct experience of God. Whatever we look at, and however we look at it, we see only through our own eyes. The reason for evil in the world is that people are not able to tell their stories. Wholeness is not achieved by cutting off a portion of one's being, but by integration of the contraries. Nights through dreams tell the myths forgotten by the day. Every human life contains a potential. If that potential is not fulfilled, then that life was wasted. I must also have a dark side if I am to be whole. We meet ourselves time and again in 1,000 disguises on the path of life. Who looks outside, dreams. Who looks inside, awakes. There can be no transforming of darkness into light and of apathy into movement without emotion. If one does not understand a person, one tends to regard him as a fool. Find out what a person fears most and that is where he will develop next. Words are animals, alive with a will of their own. Sometimes you have to do something unforgivable just to be able to go on living. When an inner situation is not made conscious, it appears outside as fate. The bigger the crowd, the more negligible the individual becomes. If the path before you is clear, you're probably on someone else's. In each of us there is another whom we do not know. The true leader is always led. Nobody, as long as he moves among the chaotic currents of life, is without trouble. It all depends on how we look at things, and not how they are in themselves. The majority of my patients consisted not of believers but of those who had lost their faith. Everything that irritates us about others can lead us to an understanding of ourselves. I am not what happened to me, I am what I choose to become. Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate. You are what you do, not what you say you'll do. Knowing your own darkness is the best method for dealing with the darknesses of other people. The pendulum of the mind oscillates between sense and nonsense, not between right and wrong. The privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are. People will do anything, no matter how absurd, to avoid facing their own souls. The most terrifying thing is to accept oneself completely. There's no coming to consciousness without pain. Show me a sane man and I will cure him for you. No tree, it is said, can grow to heaven unless its roots reach down to hell. In all chaos there is a cosmos, in all disorder a secret order. Whatever is rejected from the self, appears in the world as an event. Thinking is difficult, that's why most people judge. We cannot change anything unless we accept it. Where wisdom reigns, there is no conflict between thinking and feeling. The greatest tragedy of the family is the unlived lives of the parents. Shame is a soul-eating emotion. The shoe that fits one person pinches another. There is no recipe for living that suits all cases.